This is Mag212, and today I'm going to be modifying dual Nerf hammershots. Now I'm going to unscrew the shells so I can show you the internals and show you what mods I'm going to do. After you take out all the screws, you can remove the top halves of the shells, and you're left with the internals. So now I'm a ways into the modifications, and as you can see, I've modified this set, and this set is stock. What I've done modification-wise is I've cut down the trigger to make it look like a real gun trigger. Originally it was like that, a big trigger, and I cut it down like that. And I also made a hot glue spacer. That's hot glue, and I just molded it with my finger. I had to lick my finger a little bit just so I didn't burn myself, and that helps me compress the spring a lot more. And now I'm getting nearly full compression, and with the old version you can see there's a lot of room left to compress. So this is getting much more power now that I've compressed the spring, and as you can see it's getting a lot more punch to it. So as you can see, I've done some shell work with the hammershot, and I cut out 1/8" polycarbonate plates, and then I glued them on to this portion of the hammershot. And I also have another piece of polycarbonate just to add another layer of elevation, and it'll make painting a little more interesting. But other than that, I've tested it, and the dart's clear through the polycarbonate, and I'm just going to make something to prevent the polycarbonate from bowing in the front. I've continued to make more progress, and now I have a CPVC spacer. I ran out of hex spacers, but that's probably even better. But what I did is I cut down a piece of 1/2" CPVC, glued it to this side, and then filled it with epoxy putty, and then I drilled and tapped the epoxy putty, and I have a machine screw going through, so now it can't go out and it won't bow in. I also drilled out some holes for the screws to go in, so now I can have screws there, there, and there. I sanded the labels, and I'm just going to prep it a little more and give it a light sanding, and then I'll be ready to put on a base coat. Now I've finished painting both of the hammershots, and I went ahead and detailed them and put on clear coats. So now that everything is ready, I'm going to reassemble them and show you the end result. So this is my final segment on my dual Nerf hammershots. So this pistol was meant to be a replica of the last word from Destiny, and I think it turned out pretty well. I did some pretty intense detailing, and no, I didn't do that with a paintbrush. I tried to do it with the paintbrush, but it didn't turn out too well. So I actually used a Sharpie paint marker, and it's a brass color, and as you can see, the details turned out pretty nicely on this. On my other video, I first decided to call it just Steampunk Hammershot Pistols, but that ended up offending some people since this isn't really considered steampunk. So I changed the name to Destiny Last Word, which is what it was initially supposed to be. I didn't want to make any claims because on replicas, especially Nerf replicas, where there's a functioning aspect of it, it's kind of hard to make a replica that looks good and fires well. So although this doesn't look exactly like the last word from Destiny, I think it looks pretty well, and it's pretty reminiscent of that gun. The base coat was a Rust-Oleum Espresso spray paint. And for the details, I have Auric Armor Gold from Citadel and the Sharpie paint marker. I painted the trigger with black vinyl dye so it doesn't wear away, and I think it looks very unique now that I've modified it. I did not paint the hammer though, because I painted a hammer on my Destiny Thorn replica, and it's just not worth it because it will eventually scrape away underneath the hammer, and it just kind of bothers me. So that's all for this Destiny Last Word replica. Now I'm going to go over my other hammershot pistol. Everything I did on this was basically the same as my last word. The paints are the exact same. I did a little different detailing on the barrels, and I also increased the seal on the turrets for both of the guns, so now it has a very good barrel seal. I failed to mention on the last one that I also went over with Runefang Steel Silver Dry Brushing. And the modifications for both guns are identical, so this segment is more to just show off the looks of this hammershot. But now that I've talked about the modifications and the paints of both guns, let's go to the firing demo. But that's the end of my process video on my dual Nerf Hammershots. I hope you enjoyed the video, and thanks for watching.